How can Aladdin possibly conjure up an army of slaves? Thought his mother. But Aladdin wasn't worried when she told him about the Sultan's request. Fetch me 80 slaves, Aladdin told the genie of the lamp, and 80 slaves appeared straight away. They were crammed into Aladdin's small house and garden. March straight to the Sultan's palace, Aladdin commanded, and the army of slaves did exactly that. Crowds gathered on their route to the palace to cheer them on. Aladdin's mother presented them to the Sultan, and the Sultan asked to see Aladdin, but Aladdin summoned the genie again first. He wanted to arrive at the Sultan's palace in style, not as a poor boy dressed in rags. I demand a horse and an army of slaves, Aladdin told the genie. So the genie produced exactly what he wanted, and he rode through the streets, accompanied by slaves showering the roof with gold pieces. The Sultan was impressed by the sight he saw, and he made sure Aladdin was welcomed in style by a fanfare of trumpets. You can marry my daughter today. We have prepared a banquet especially for you, said the Sultan. If you could wait one more day, Your Majesty, I will have time to build a special palace for the princess, said Aladdin. Once again, Aladdin summoned the genie of the lamp and ordered him to build a fine palace.
Your wish is my command.
The genie conjured up a palace straight away. It was a most fantastic sight, with its golden dome in the center, supported by silver columns. And as if the outside wasn't spectacular enough, inside there was a treasure house with gold and silver piled up to the ceiling. The next morning, Aladdin went to look at his palace and saw that his orders had been carried out to the last detail. The genie had even remembered to lay a carpet from this palace to the Sultan's own palace. Aladdin married the princess and lived with her happily for many years. Until one day, the magician heard that Aladdin was living in a sumptuous palace with a beautiful princess. The magician went to the palace and took with him a dozen copper lamps that looked just like Aladdin's lamp, and stood outside the palace gates shouting, "New lamps for old!" The princess heard him shouting these words out and sent one of her slaves to exchange Aladdin's old battered lamp for a brand new shiny one, because she didn't realize the value of Aladdin's lamp. The slave went straight to the magician and said, "Give me a new lamp for this one." He snatched Aladdin's lamp and told the slave to choose whichever one she wanted. The magician soon forgot about the other lamps and went to a lonely place near the city gates, where he fetched out the magic lamp and rubbed it.
Yes, master.
Sure enough, the genie appeared, and the magician gave him a command. "Take me away to a lonely place with the princess." So the genie of the lamp did as he was asked, and the palace with the princess in it was whisked away together with the magician. The next morning, the Sultan went to his window to enjoy the view of Aladdin's palace. But the palace had completely gone. "Where has the palace and my lovely daughter gone?" he said. He summoned the chief courtier, who was equally astonished, and declared that Aladdin must be a magician. "Banish Aladdin from the kingdom," said the chief courtier. So the Sultan ordered him out of the kingdom. Because Aladdin had done many kind deeds for the people, there was such an outcry at this declaration that the Sultan gave in and let Aladdin stay after all. "Come and look through my window," the Sultan said. "The palace and my daughter have disappeared. You must find them both for me." Aladdin managed to convince the Sultan that he'd had no part in the trickery. "Give me 40 days and I will find the palace," he said. So the Sultan agreed. For 3 days he wandered from place to place, desperately looking for the palace. In the end, he clasped his hands together and said a little prayer. And as he did this, he accidentally rubbed the ring that the magician had given to him. the genie who had saved him from the cave appeared again.
"What is your command?"
said the genie.
"I am the slave of the ring, and I am ready to obey you."
Aladdin begged the genie to save his life once again by bringing back the palace and the princess.
"That is not within my power,"
said the genie.
"You must call up the slave of the lamp."
"Well, if you can't do what I ask," said Aladdin, "perhaps you can take me to the palace and put me down beneath the princess's bedroom." No sooner had Aladdin said this than he found himself outside the palace, somewhere in the middle of Africa. Aladdin ran through the palace looking for the princess, and when he saw her, he said, "Tell me where I can find my old lamp." "Alas," said the princess, "I gave the lamp away, and it's all my fault that we have had so much misfortune." "It's not your fault," said kind-hearted Aladdin. "I should have looked after the lamp better myself." "Do not worry, everything will be all right because I have a plan," said Aladdin. "If you want us to get rid of the magician forever, you must follow my instructions closely. Now, what you must do is put on your most spectacular clothes and jewels and offer the magician delicious food and fine wine. But in his wine, you must put a special powder that will put him to sleep forever. As soon as he has taken the wine, watch him carefully. He should fall to the ground." The princess dressed herself up in her most beautiful clothes and greeted the magician exactly as she'd been instructed. Sure enough, as soon as the magician took a drink from his goblet, he fell to the ground. Aladdin, who had been hiding in the next room, rushed straight in and embraced the princess. He snatched the lamp back, which was tucked tightly into the magician's vest. Without hesitation, he rubbed the lamp, and the genie appeared.
I am the slave of the lamp,
He said,
"What do you wish?"
and Aladdin told the genie to transport the palace back to the spot where it originally stood. This the genie did, by simply lifting the palace up and flying back to Arabia with it and putting it exactly where it had been before. The Sultan couldn't believe his eyes when he awoke the next morning and saw the palace out of his window. He rushed straight over to it and embraced his daughter. Aladdin told the Sultan and all his court the whole story, and the Sultan was so pleased to see his daughter back that he ordered the next 10 days should be days of feasting. When the time of feasting was over, Aladdin and the princess settled down to a peaceful and happy life together, which they enjoyed for many, many years.
Thank you.